Greetings, this is Dr. Bill Bailey, and this is another edition of VirtZine. VirtZine, of course, is the video blog that we have started to chronicle what's happening in virtualization and cloud computing. So hopefully you'll join us every week as we get into the topics concerning virtualization and cloud computing issues right here on VirtZine. By the way, check out the website. On the VirtZine website, VirtZine is VirtZine.com. Go to that website and you'll see over on the right-hand column we have a newsletter sign-up. I'd encourage you to sign up for the newsletter because that way we can get information out to you quickly. We're not going to spam anybody. That's not our intent. But we do want to use it as an opt-in list for folks to be able to get information about what's happening here at VirtZine, which is the online magazine of virtualization and cloud computing. We want to get good information, solid information out to you in a timely manner. And so that's why we have the VirtZine online magazine and this video netcast. This is the second edition of VirtZine, the video netcast. And as I say, in the future, we're going to be having some special events and special reviews and interviews and things of that nature here on the program, so stick with us. Right now we're just kind of getting things rolling. All right, let's go to our first news item since the last video netcast, and that is there's a new release of Google Chrome that is prepping us for the cloud. Chrome is, of course, not only the browser, but it's about to soon be released as an operating system for devices. As a matter of fact, Google has a device that they created specifically for Chrome, and it's going to be essentially a cloud computing client for doing everything within the cloud through Google. That's part of their vision, is to do that. And incrementally, they're constantly basically releasing and updating updates to Chrome. And these are designed to make cloud computing operate better and more efficiently. And also, they recently, for the third year straight, won, so to speak, against the hackers that tried to break Chrome, break their security, and it proved to be very, very secure. So, got to give them some kudos for that. All right, next item is that Steve Ballmer, CEO of Microsoft, addressed a meeting of the energy industry and was basically telling them that they need to start looking to cloud computing through Microsoft, of course, to start meeting their needs because they have a large computer infrastructure. And when I say they, the energy industry at large, all the companies that make up that industry, of course, have a huge infrastructure. And he's trying to sell them on the idea of cloud computing as a resource in that arena. And so he recently spoke at the IHS-CERA Annual Energy Conference, and basically his whole thrust of his message was to tout the industry's use of cloud computing. So interesting that he is approaching them in that direction. I think Microsoft is trying very hard to be the player in the cloud industry. That's why they have their commercials where they talk about to the cloud, and so forth. They're really trying to raise the public awareness of cloud computing. Because let's face it, most folks really don't know what it is, don't care so much what it is, as long as they have access to the applications and the tools and the functions. They don't really care so much about the back end. Those of us that are propeller heads, that are geeks that want to get into this technology, we, of course, are interested in the nuts and bolts of the back end of that. Let's see. The next item we have is that Internet Explorer 9 was released on Tuesday, March the 15th. Internet Explorer 9, again, Microsoft's goal is to be more standardized with their web browser. And I salute them for that because they've lagged behind in support of web standards, and I really am glad that IE9 is better at doing that. I have downloaded the final release candidate, or not just the release candidate, but the final release of IE9. And it works very well with all the applications and the websites that I have anything to do with. And so I'm pretty impressed with IE9. I think it's going to be a great release for them. And they had 2.5 million downloads of IE9 just in the first 24 hours. So that speaks to its success pretty well. All right, let's continue on here. Virtualizing Citrix own VMware. An excellent article at Virtualization Review magazine online. And that article is by Elias Kosner. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. Hope so. He has an article, How to Virtualize Citrix XenApp on vSphere 4.1. And the key to that is not being afraid to truly virtualize your entire Citrix farm. It's part of this is getting past a mindset. There are a lot of people that they've dabbled in virtualization a bit. They're not keeping up with the technology and the trends of the technology. And so they're convinced that you just can't put SQL Server, Exchange, basically tier 1 applications on VMware. And that's just not true, particularly with VMware 4.1. The performance is so much better. And I'm, of course, a VMware administrator where I work. And we have gone to 4.1 Update 1 for VMware. But even before that, I had already virtualized our Citrix farm, which is not an insignificant farm. We have, let's see, we have about 50 Citrix servers. We have 2 data collectors, primary and secondary. We have SQL Server 2008 64-bit on a 64-bit 2008 Windows server, all virtualized. The Citrix servers, the SQL Server, everything virtualized. And we are running 730 concurrent users very consistently. No performance issues, no problems. So it not only can be done, I have done it, and it is being done. Now, I will say this. I appreciate Varrow, which is a local company that does technology solutions, and they were of great help in helping us get that set up. And by the way, as I mentioned Varrow, let me mention that just day before yesterday, as I record this video, they had the Varrow Madness event. It's kind of based loosely around March Madness and the whole thing that's going on in the basketball world, college basketball. But the Varrow Madness event was a technology event. And I've got some video that I shot with my Droid phone there. And let's go to those and just get a feel for the number of people that were at the event.
Data and enterprise data. And I'm going to start with the one that is the least face melting, and we'll get up to face melting through progression through the remainder of the time I've got. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is enterprise data. This is the thing that will seem the most natural to everybody here, because this is one host. You've got an HP deal. You've got to start out with a little bit of trivia since we have a basketball theme. So who won the NCAA tournament last year? That was last year. Every year's like the year of VDI. Yes, it is.
So as you can see, it was well attended. I didn't try to record those sessions in such a way that you could really get a grasp and hear what was going on. But I did want to mention that events like this are available to you throughout our area of the Southeast. And Varrow has basically said they're going to do that again next year. So I'd encourage you to check out events like this by whatever vendor that puts it out, because these are ways you can get up with the technology and stay current with some of these issues that we're talking about. And Varrow, I know the folks that work there are familiar with the folks that are behind Varrow, and can really recommend that they are a great company to work with. And just enjoyed the event tremendously myself. So just wanted to share with you that there are a lot of people in our area. When I say our area, the Piedmont Triad of North Carolina. I know people watch this video all over the world, literally, but for those of us locally in this area, we've got a great bunch of folks that are involved in virtualization technologies, and I'm just excited to be part of that community. And as you can see, it's a very large community from the number of attendees at the event. So I just wanted to kind of let you know that that was out there and has happened. And hey, I won some stuff and picked up some swag, you know, as I went around the event, and got to talk to some of the folks that are in the industry. It was really a good meeting. So wanted to let you see that. And then getting back to Citrix on VMware, basically the idea here is don't be afraid to do it. If you need help doing it, contact a vendor like Varrow, but at the same time, it can be done. If you're willing to put in the time, the effort, the research, this article is a great start on giving you some of the techniques that you can use to optimize tier 1 type applications like Citrix and like SQL Server and some of these other applications. They can easily be virtualized, so don't be afraid of doing it. And you'll find, I find, that is the benefits as a Citrix administrator in virtualizing all of those servers makes it a lot easier to support Citrix in a virtualized environment. It's just so much easier than physical machines. And yesterday is a good example. I had a situation where I had a Citrix server basically go south on me, and it was one of several that supported a particular application. So all I needed to do was get the users off, disable logins, of course, and then get the users off, and then they had other servers that they could continue to work on, so it didn't interfere with their workflow. But then I basically just deleted that guest machine off of the VMware cluster and then spun up another machine from a copy of one that was working correctly and was able to get things going again, and nobody even knew that there was a problem with one of the Citrix servers. Had that been a physical server, it would have been a big deal to have to rebuild that thing. But as it was, I just was able to clone it off, bring one back, change its name, change its SID, get everything, you know, ready to roll, and roll that out, and it's running now in production. So it makes it easier to support an application as complex as Citrix using VMware. So I'd encourage you to really think seriously about that. Now you got to have the horsepower behind it. You've got to be able to have a VMware cluster that will support that kind of activity. You got to have a good SAN that's in good shape. We have an EMC SAN that is fiber channel based, and we've got great support internally at the hospital with the equipment and the engineer that works with that. And so we're able to do that and do it, I think, very well in a production environment. It really helps us out. So don't be afraid to virtualize these applications. All right. If you have any questions about how we're doing it, feel free to write me here, Dr. Bill, DRBILL, at VirtZine.com, VirtZine.com. And if you have questions, I'll be glad to get into the details of how we did it. But I will say this, not only can it be done, I really think it should be done. All right. Well, we're going to close for this particular edition of the VirtZine Netcast. But as I always say, remember, keep your head in the cloud.